But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Should give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with one ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares.
وبركاته بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear viewers, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To those who've joined already and to those who've been waiting patiently, anticipating this live appeal today with One Ummah, with our brothers, with Yusuf Chambers. Alhamdulillah, we're here today on a special day, on the most blessed day of the year, on the day of Arafah, where we've seen just now the live screen that you can see in the corner of your TV, where the people have left the plains of Arafah now after making dua for the whole day, asking and praying for forgiveness and asking for themselves to be freed from the hellfire. And this is what we ask Allah for on this specific day, that Allah frees us from the hellfire and makes us from those who are forgiven after fasting from the previous year of sins and the next year of sins. Ameen. May Allah accept it from us, and may Allah accept it from those pilgrims who have spent money, who have spent effort, their time, going out of their way and sacrificing for the sake of Allah. And this is known as a period of sacrifice, as a time of sacrifice. We'll all be making our sacrifices in the form, replicating the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam when we do our udhiyah. Now, today in particular, we're here to discuss a sacrifice that every single one of us can make. Something that regardless of whether we're doing qurbani, regardless of whether we were able to or not able to perform hajj, we're able to make the sacrifice. And this is the sacrifice that we do when we spend from our wealth, giving in sadaqah, helping our brothers and sisters who are in need. We've seen the situation across the world, particularly in Gaza, with our brothers and sisters suffering. However, there's many of our brothers and sisters suffering across many communities across the Muslim world. And today specifically is about one of those blessed communities and one of those blessed people. We're talking about the people of
Yemen.
The beautiful people of Yemen who unfortunately have suffered and endured crazy amounts of suffering over the past couple of years. Many years. In fact, since the internal conflict started over 10 years ago, unfortunately now it's meant that over 19 million people in Yemen are food insecure. 1 in 2 children under the age of 5 in the whole of Yemen are food insecure, are malnourished. So the question for you, my brothers and sisters, today is, what are me and you doing? What do we do to help our brothers and sisters in their time of need? What do we do when the time of sacrifice comes to get together and sacrifice for the sake of Allah for our brothers and sisters? And when we call ourselves an ummah, when we call ourselves one ummah, what do we truly show to Allah? What do we put forth to Allah and say, Ya Allah, this is what I'm doing to show you that I care about the brothers and sisters that you've given me in this dunya through this beautiful religion. And this is what today is about, giving for the sake of our brothers and sisters. We've got some very special appeals in the form of a bread factory, which supplies many thousands of brothers and sisters with just the basic needs, basic nutrition for just being able to live. We're delivering food packs in Yemen. And alhamdulillah, we've got nutrition packs for infants as well. So these are some of the key projects that we've got, inshallah, that we want you brothers and sisters to get involved with. Now remember, even if you direct and you bring others towards khair and towards others towards good, you will also have a share of that good. What I'm saying is that I need you brothers and sisters today to share the link that you see on screen, www.yemenneedsyou.com, to make a donation online. Or you can call us inshallah on our landline 0300 111 3111 and make a donation Spend for the sake of Allah. Do an act of deed. Do an act of a good deed on this day that is the blessed and the most best day of the year. This day is from amongst the best 10 days of the year. We know that the best 10 nights come in Ramadan, but the best 10 days are specified for this period of Dhul Hijjah. And specifically today, the day of Arafah. So do what you can while the hours remain, while the time remains to continue and do more good and engage in good deeds and in acts of worship, making dua, praying extra salah, doing adhkar, giving in charity. Don't forget this big opportunity, this amazing opportunity that Allah has given me and you through His mercy to be able to give and spend from our wealth for His sake. And I want to bring in, inshallah, our brothers. I've got Brother Shaba here, who's another part of the team in One Ummah, and our dear brother Yusuf, who's traveled to many of the countries that we deliver your amana to across the world. And alhamdulillah, today, like I've mentioned, we're going to be delivering aid for our brothers and sisters in Yemen. Brother Yusuf, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nice to have you join us.
Assalamu
alaikum, Shaba.
What a blessed day.
Yes.
What a
But
blessed
it only feels like we were sitting together in Middlesbrough yesterday.
Yeah,
Yusuf,
yeah.
doesn't
In
it?
fact, I thought it was Middlesbrough, the
Yeah.
live appeal. I was on the way to I'm on the way to Middlesbrough, and I realized I got to divert to Birmingham. It was the other way around, in fact. It is here. Alhamdulillah. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all the beautiful deeds that our brothers and sisters are doing. They're fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this incredible day of Arafah, where, you can see in the top corner there, you can see our pilgrims, the pilgrims representing the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're on the plains of Arafah before, and some of them are making circumambulation of the Kaaba. You can see here, subhanallah, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And this is a day that we could commemorate quite easily and remember, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember us by making sadaqah, by doing sadaqah. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a beautiful hadith, when he was asked, what is the best aspect of Islam? Is to feed the people and spread the salams.
Yes.
So, brothers and sisters, very important that we give food packs, £40. Yemen, crisis zone. We know it's been a crisis zone. We've been there on the ground, for many years as a charity, One Ummah. And unfortunately, I haven't yet gone to Yemen because there were so many times when we were trying to get to the border. We were trying to strive to make a commitment to go and see our brothers and sisters there. And then we were told it's too difficult now. It's too dangerous to go there. It is a very dangerous place. It's a war zone. It has been for many, many years, brothers and sisters. We need you guys to pick up the phone and make the donations. The studio line here is 0300 111 3111. And you can make a donation as well on yemenneedsyou.com. yemenneedsyou.com, brothers and sisters. Let's start to flood the call center, the studio hotline here. And I'm sure there must be a donation line as well. Or is that the same one?
The same line, yeah, inshallah. So if you
Same
ring,
one?
if you ring the number, inshallah, so we'll be able to speak to you and take a donation, inshallah.
Yeah.
And like our brother Yusuf mentioned, today is one of those days where your donation matters more than any other day.
Absolutely.
A day when your deeds are multiplied and increased, and Allah is there to give you His mercy, to shower you with His mercy. And this is one of those beautiful opportunities where we see our brothers and sisters that inspire us by being able to perform the Hajj and by being able to spend the day in Arafah and making dua. What do me and you do? If we don't have the ability to donate, at least we can share the link, at least we can let people know and encourage other people to good, and then also make dua.
Well, everyone's got the ability. I mean, the Yemen bakery, 4,000 odd pounds a month, right, to run.
To run one of the bakeries.
Yeah,
Even if you give £1,
bakeries.
£10, £20, just give a donation so that we can enable our brothers and sisters to eat the basic necessities, which is bread and water. Bread and water. And my brothers and sisters, what an ajr you'll be getting when they raise their hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember you, to reward you, to give to you as you gave to them. You fed them the basic food stuff that will keep them alive. You're saving lives. You're saving their their hunger. You're quenching their thirst and taking away their hunger. And our brothers and sisters in Yemen, we know how supportive they've been in the world.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the only nations, I can honestly say, that are taking some action to protect our brothers and sisters in certain other parts of the world. We're not going to go into that and dwell upon that. But what we will say is Yemenis need your support tonight. £40 for a food pack for 5 individuals to be fed for approximately a month, raising their hands right now and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you, my brothers and sisters, on this day of Arafah, the best day in the calendar, in the whole calendar. You might think that the best days are, like you said, Brother Furqan, are in Ramadan. The best nights are in Ramadan. The best days are in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. This is the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, and it's running out. Time is running out. Only around 3-4 hours for some of us. Of course, I don't know if they're in America, then they've got a bit more time. Yeah. If they're in Pakistan, probably is it already gone?
It's gone.
It's gone.
They'll have had,
Poor things.
Yep.
They've lost that opportunity, bro. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's do this. Brother Shabir Ranks, Shabir.
You said change my name again.
Shabir or Shabar? Shabar Ranks. Shabar Ranks.
Hopefully we'll go to. I hope somebody will go to that name. I love that. Yusuf, you just mentioned. There's one point. Bread. How much do we pay for a loaf of bread now?
Well, I mean, if you want to get a decent one, it's nearly £2.50.
Yeah.
£2.50.
That's if it's sourdough. Yeah.
Yeah, sourdough.
If it's sourdough, yeah.
Yeah, it leaves you a bit sour in the mouth when you pay for it as well.
But even then, Yusuf, for us, that's not a big sacrifice. Let's be honest. Alhamdulillah, we're so blessed. Especially if it's UK audience that are watching, alhamdulillah, as much as things are very expensive for us here, but still we're able to spend a lot. Yeah, so we're very blessed in that sense.
It's about £1 for a bag of bread. Yeah. Where I am, when I'm been in Syria, in Turkey, and all these places, our other bread factories, are about £1 for probably around 6 pieces of bread. The large ones. About £1. Yeah. I mean, just give £1.
Yeah. It makes
give £1 every month.
Huge difference.
We need food, man. We need food for this ummah.
Yeah.
They are starving in so many places. And Yemen is not different.
The video when it comes up, brothers and sisters, you'll see how they have to queue up for it. Again, we don't need to worry about that. We're able to go. If it's on a busy time, then you're just queuing just to pay. But other than that, you're not queuing up waiting for a handout. We're so fortunate. We don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Where once do you have to worry about we're leaving our house, so where am I going to go? Where and how long am I going to be queuing for? And if I'm at the end of the queue, is there going to be anything left for me?
Of course, and the ajr that they're going to get today, unlike any other day, especially if they're fasting. And I think most people are fasting right now.
Yeah.
If you're in the UK, you're fasting, probably got another 3.5 hours or whatever it is, even more. And in that period of time, don't just give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your fasting, also give your sadaqah. Give your sadaqah whilst you're fasting on this incredible day of Yawm al-Arafah. When our brothers and sisters are there in pilgrimage, they've gone, Labaik Allahumma labaik. They've gone in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can go in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whilst you're sitting at home on Arafah, watching these images on your screen by giving your sadaqah and fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make dua. I was just saying to my wife, I was saying, make lots of sadaqah whilst you're there in the shopping center or sitting down and whatever you're doing, you'll make your dhikr and make lots of sadaqah, especially on all my boys' names. Because we make a special intention to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them on this day, to forgive them of their sins on this day, to forgive the ummah of their shortcomings. And all of our brothers and sisters, one ummah, united, should be giving donations for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Well, look,
now.
Just on the point that you both have mentioned, a loaf of bread that we would typically spend and buy perhaps for the full week for the family is just, in this case, to provide 2 families for bread every single day for the full year is £360.
360.
2 families for bread every single day for the full year is £360.
Wow.
So if you break that down, that's
amazing.
50 pence per family per day.
Subhanallah.
£1 a day, that's all that's required.
That
Just
is
£1 a day if one of you brothers and sisters were to give for the
Subhanallah.
sake of Allah for these bakeries, you'd be providing just 2 families to start with. And that's a huge thing. Imagine being able to sustain 2 families for a full year with just £1 a day. Likewise with the food packs, it's £40 a month. However, if you were to give just one food pack, which contains more than just obviously your basic necessities, but enough to provide a family of roughly up to 5 for a full month worth of food, again, that's just over £1 a day.
Subhanallah.
And you spend that across the year. Think about how many things you might spend £40 on one meal just for yourself.
Yes, that's exactly
If
what
you
we
go
say.
out for a decent meal, £40 just for
Subhanallah.
yourself.
Bro, that's
exactly it.
Middlesbrough prices. Come on, man. I mean, London, I was there
Yeah,
the other
London's
day,
a
it's
bit
100
more.
quid.
Yeah, it's a little,
£100.
yeah, easily. Yeah, depends how many of you go.
We split it. Don't tell me, I didn't pay the whole lot myself, but 300, it was 100 quid.
Yeah, you have
Just
to
for
put into
basic
perspective,
food.
I think,
Basic.
how fortunate we are with what we have. And we complain so much about what Allah's blessed us with, when in reality, these are the people. And you look at, subhanAllah, the difference between them and us, that they are the ones who have nothing. They are the ones who have everything's been taken away from them, yet they thank Allah. They say, Hasbunallah, Hasbiyallah wa ni'mal wakeel. That sufficient for us is Allah, and He is the best disposer of our affairs. And there's us with everything and more, and we complain about everything that we have. Or we complain about that which we don't
In
have.
fact, I just had that conversation with some of the brothers and sisters in Leicester, saying, look, we're looking at these small issues, what you call the first world problems.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
You've got no real problems, so you
No.
have to invent
Invent
problems. I said, this is the problem with this ummah. This is exactly why this ummah is not progressing right now. And we're firefighting in all these different nations, feeding people just the basic necessities to keep them alive in Yemen. £40 for a food pack. Pick up the phone, 0300 111 3111.
Yep.
Let's make these lines very busy, my brothers and sisters, during these last few moments when you're fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before Eid al-Adha occurs. After Maghrib, Eid al-Adha will be here. Of course, you can still keep giving, but we need your donations to feed our brothers and sisters in Yemen. They're in crisis. You've heard the stats. The stats are shocking. 19 million people are food insecure in Yemen. 19 million.
Yeah.
That's over half the population.
That's
The
shocking.
population of Yemen is 40 million, and subhanAllah, over half of that amount is unfortunately in a situation where they don't have enough food. And subhanAllah, the total.
What
that
we
we've
at
raised-
the moment, yes.
Go on, where we
Can we
where
check the
are-
link, boys? Is
Well,
there
we
any way we
haven't
can
had
show
any
the screen?
donations, have we?
Oh, okay.
We've had no donations, guys.
people
We have
started donating
apparently
way
people.
before.
Apparently,
No,
people have
you
already
sure?
started
Yeah,
donating.
people started donating when they
Is there
heard
any way we can get it on
and
the
when they
screen,
saw we're
boys?
donating for Yemen.
The page. Is there any way we
What's
can get
going
that
on,
done?
man?
Okay. So
No,
we
what's
are
this?
at the boys have put it up.
You wanna read it out?
4,596. Oh wow!
MashaAllah, mashallah.
Before we
already.
decide, that's
Already.
well, so that's
The
practically.
phone is ringing as
Yep.
well.
I think we hear the phone
Yep.
ringing in the background.
And
Yes,
that's-
Inshallah.
yes, that could be, unless that's programs dealing with all of the
their problems.
adha issues all
Qurbani,
around the world.
exactly, yes.
For Qurban. Qurban or Qurbani, it's the same thing. Adha. You know, there's so many different terms we
Yeah.
found around the place. Qurban.
Qurbani.
Somebody said, oh,
Is it- you're from
why
Leicester,
have they
Yusuf. How do you say it?
Qurbani?
Qurbani.
They said, no, it's Qurban. Qurban is the same thing. It's just, it's about the grammar.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, 4,500
We're almost
and plus,
5K.
almost 600. Yeah.
So look, we've had since we've announced that we're going to be raising and helping the people of Yemen.
Yeah.
Over 4,500 has been raised without us even making the effort to come here.
Yeah.
Which shows you that the people know. The brothers and sisters out there do
Yeah.
know that there's an issue, there's a problem, and there's a suffering going on with our ummah. And ultimately, we require this appeal that we're doing today is just an encouragement. At the end of the day, that we know that Allah puts mercy in the heart of those people who He wants good for. And if He wants good for you, He'll allow you to engage in good. And this is one of those opportunities in the most blessed days of the year, on the best day amongst those days, for you to be involved in khair, and for you to do good, and for you to show Allah and bring forth to Allah what it is that you want Him to ultimately reward you for, and then therefore forgive you for on the day of judgment, where you'll be standing in front of Him, like the brothers and sisters we see on the plains of Arafah, seeking forgiveness we're all going to be raised. We're all going to be stood on the plains and asking Allah to have mercy on us. And that time when it comes, when that time comes on the Day of Judgment, it's going to be too late to ask. It's going to be too late to make an action, to do something and say to Allah, Ya Allah, send me back and allow me to do more. That opportunity will have gone. But this is that opportunity. This is that time. This is that moment that we seek from Allah to give us an opportunity to do something of khair. If perhaps you hadn't thought about giving in sadaqah today, this is that opportunity.
Absolutely.
This is that opportunity to help. Like Brother Yusuf mentioned earlier on, the Yemeni people are some of the most genuine and some of the most giving people. Even though they have such little, even though they've been inflicted with their own internal conflicts and problems from the outside that they've faced and the famine that they've faced, yet these are the people who are standing there at the forefront, protecting our Muslim brothers and sisters, helping the ummah. So what are we doing to help those?
Yeah, so in a way, if we kind of feel like we're not doing enough, and I count myself in that, I'm not doing enough for Gaza. I'm not doing enough for the people of Palestine. I mean, we need to make a lot more sacrifices. One of the ways that we can support our brothers and sisters in Gaza is supporting our brothers and sisters in Yemen. Really, to feed our brothers and sisters in Yemen. Look at the images, my brothers and sisters. They are like from the 1980s in Ethiopia. It reminds me of the images that came out of the crisis in Ethiopia
in the 80s,
in 1980s, 1984, 5 particularly. You know, those images are haunting. And we're seeing that again on our screens right now. And these are the people, like we've said, who are supportive of our ummah in Palestine.
I think what we can do, Yusuf, if we are able to, we'll bring on the video actually to show the people what a food pack actually does for our brothers and sisters. And like you said, unfortunately, the scenes and the pictures that we have been seeing are of people who are just, subhanAllah, their meat is completely gone and you just see skin and bones. And this is the situation that we're dealing with. And this is why your donation is so important, because when we say that you can save a life, you genuinely can save a life.
These are, sorry, my brother, on the screen. These are Yemeni
the
distribution
packs, for the baby packs.
Exactly.
The baby packs.
Baby
As you know, the
packs,
malnutrition, like you said, the images of a malnutrition
These
child
are the infant nutrition packs that you see in the bottom corner. We have the food packs that are going out as well, and also the bakery as well that's running. So we'll show you, inshallah, we have a lot of footage to show you of what's been going on and how we've been distributing our aid there, inshallah. So I think if we can, inshallah, very shortly play the video for our brothers and sisters for the food pack. We'll cut to that now, inshallah, and then we'll come back, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Every morning, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed one ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters. Again, for those who have just joined us and for those who've just come back after watching that video, alhamdulillah, we've just shown you what distributions One Ummah have been able to do and conduct and what's been taking place on the ground. We've mentioned already that over half the population of Yemen are suffering from malnutrition, are suffering from food insecurity. And this today is an opportunity, an appeal to help our brothers and sisters in need, to give from that which we love, to sacrifice on the days of sacrifice, and give from that which you can give from your wealth and spend from your wealth. And we have our brother Shaba, he's sharing, he's doing a live demonstration of what I want every single brother and sister at home watching us to do, is share the link. Let people know what's happening today and what we're supporting and what we're raising for today, which is our beautiful brothers and sisters of Yemen. Those who have gone through years of suffering, of malnutrition, those who are at the forefront of supporting our brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters in need in other parts of the world. And I'm sure you know what we're talking about. But what are we doing to support them? What are we doing to help our brothers and sisters who have very little themselves, but are doing what they can and going out there and making the effort and sacrificing, although they have little, to help our brothers and sisters in need? And we're sat here, we're blessed, we have everything and more. What are we doing to sacrifice and give to our brothers and sisters in need, in their time of need, at a time of sacrifice, at a time, on the days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that are the most blessed days of the year, or the best days of the year, and in particular the day of Arafah, where He frees the people from the hellfire unlike any other day, where He has mercy on His slaves, on me and you, unlike any other day. What are we doing to show Allah that we're grateful to Him? What are we showing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're acknowledging His mercy, and we're acknowledging that which He's given us and allowed us to do on this beautiful day, from making dua to Him, making salah, adhkar, reading Quran, and giving in sadaqah. One of those beautiful acts that when you give, it doesn't decrease from that which you have. Meaning Allah will provide you more, Allah will give you more, Allah will put barakah in what you have if you give for His sake. Is it not true that on a day like today, that Allah, where He has more mercy on the believers than any other day, He frees more people from the hellfire than any other day, that He won't have mercy on you? You brothers and sisters who are watching, who hear the plea, who hear the cry that we come with on behalf of our brothers and sisters, will Allah not listen to that cry? Will Allah not listen to that dua? Will Allah not accept that donation? Of course He will. But the question is, will you make that sacrifice, and will you take action and do something and show to Allah that, Ya Allah, we're here for you, we're here to give on your behalf, and we're here to accept the mercy that you've showered upon us. Yeah. We're here to seek forgiveness from you, Ya Allah.
Someone's calling.
We have somebody calling in, I believe.
But it looks like, is anyone answering?
We have somebody on the other side, inshallah, who'll be answering the phone.
I'm sure we have a team there, right?
We do. Yeah. So please call in, inshallah. Call the landline, 0300 111 3111, or go to yemenneedsyou.com, yemenneedsyou.com, to make your donations, inshallah. And give us a call, speak to us, inshallah, in the studio as well, and ring in, make your donations, inshallah, share the link. Let other people get involved, inshallah, with the khair, and do what you can to support the brothers and sisters of Yemen. This is ultimately about them. Those people who make sacrifices, the question is, what are we doing to make our sacrifices?
Absolutely.
What are we doing, Shaba?
Not enough, that's the issue.
No.
You know, we live in a time where, for us, we're watching and just watching. And you can see that the difficulties our brothers and sisters are going through, and we feel like, what can we do for them? You know, it literally on your screen, we're just scrolling, and we're seeing images of our brothers and sisters going through horrendous times, difficult times. And Allah does not, reward the believer at all. He will reward the believer fully for that struggle. But however, for those that are not going through those difficulties, He wants to see what their response will be and what will happen to them. On the way when I was driving here, I was listening to the first part of the life of Umar radiallahu anhu. No, sorry. I'll track back. I was listening to, after I finished that, I went to the life of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. There's that beautiful incident where Bilal is being punished by Rabi'a. He's been dragged through. The boulder is being placed on his chest. And alhamdulillah, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu comes along and says, look, I'm going to buy him off you. And, the Quraysh, being the arrogance that they are, they just said, yeah, take him. And he offered, it was a stupid amount of money. And then, they handed over the money, and he goes to him, even if you had said this much, a very small amount, I would have given it. He was, it doesn't matter. I would have paid double that or whatever the amount just to free him. This is the forebearers, what they did to set the example for us.
Yeah.
And this is the type of thing we need to revive, brothers and sisters, of the likes of Abu Bakr, the likes of Umar, how not only, how they behaved, but what they did in terms of helping the believers, how they found ways to relieve them of their hardship and what they could do. Especially, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu brought 6 other Sahabi into the fold of Islam that were guaranteed paradise. And 2 of them were, one of them was the wealthy, what's his name? Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who, mashallah, spent so much in the way to help and advance the well-being of the Islam at that time, subhanAllah. So, again, brothers and sisters, on a day like this, the time is really, really short. We don't realize how quick the time is going. Like I said, Yusuf, we were literally felt like yesterday we were sitting together on the nights in Ramadan, appealing to you back then, and here we are again. This is it. Allah gives you multiple chances, brothers and sisters, over and over again to turn to Him and to show you the reality of this world.
This is the thing, Shaba. Look, you mentioned about the brothers and sisters in this particular example of the Sahaba, where they used to help each other and they would be there for each other and they would help each other because what they share is something so pure and so beautiful, the religion of Islam. And it's mentioned in a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the one who frees or removes the difficulty of a believer from this dunya, Allah will remove him from the difficulty of the hereafter.
Subhanallah.
And is that not what
that's what we want?
This day, subhanAllah, the day of Arafah, are we not striving to be forgiven and removed from the difficulties of the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, of the days of where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring forward the hellfire and bring forward Jannah, and He will show us and He will say, this could be your abode or this could be your abode, and depending on our deeds, depending on what we put forth, Allah will give us in the most just way, because Allah is the most just. He will give us based on that which we put forth. And so this is the time, this is the moment where we act upon these ahadith, where if we do relieve a believer, we do help our brothers and sisters, Allah will help us on that day when it matters most. And that's what today is about. Asking Allah for forgiveness, like these brothers and sisters that you see who are now leaving Arafah, who are going to Muzdalifah. And subhanAllah, they've spent their whole day sitting there on the plains, asking for Allah for forgiveness. And this is what we seek and this is what we ask for as well. That when we give our sadaqah, when we give in charity, that Allah ultimately frees us and from the pains or from the difficulties of the hereafter. And this is what it's about. So inshallah, we ask that Allah allows us to be able to do more and puts barakah in what we have so that we can give for the sake of Allah. Now, my brothers and sisters, the question is, what are you guys going to do? What are you doing sitting there, watching, listening? Have you done something and have you taken action and have you shown to Allah that you're ready to make a sacrifice? Have you shown Allah that you're ready to help our brothers and sisters? Have you shown Allah that you're one of those people who wants to give for His sake so that you can be protected and that you can be removed from the difficulties of Yawm al-Qiyamah? And look at this, subhanAllah, in Surah Abasa, Allah mentions the situation of the believers when they're going to be revived after being dead. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, He says, فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةِ, that when the trumpet is blown and we're all awakened and we're all taken from our graves, and we come to the plains. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, that a man, he will flee from his brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِي, from his mother and his father. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِي, from his closest companions, meaning his wife and his children. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنُ يُغْنِي, that on that day will be a matter that is adequate for each and every individual. That every single person will have what they put forth, and that which they didn't put forth, those opportunities that they missed, and they'll be asked, what did you bring forward? What have you done for my sake? And when Allah asks us these questions, are we going to be ready? On that day that we're going to be trembling and the sun's close to us and we'll be under the sweat because of the heat based on our actions in this dunya. How are we going to answer the questions and how are we going to be in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we didn't put anything forward, when we didn't help when our brothers and sisters were in need? And subhanAllah, Yusuf, I know that you've traveled out and you've met some of the beneficiaries and the people that we've helped. I know you haven't traveled specifically to Yemen, but some of the refugees who've gone to places like Djibouti and some of the surrounding locations, and you've been there to see what we've been offering and what we've been delivering from the projects that we have here today. So have you got any words of what you've seen out there, the experience that you've had, and what you've seen our brothers and sisters in terms of the suffering that they've gone to, which is unfortunately expelled them from their own lands upon land, search for food and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you know, when people are displaced, they are, as we saw in Djibouti when we went to the camps in Djibouti with our Yemeni brothers and sisters, unfortunately, they suddenly got removed. Suddenly, you know. And some of the people, right, I met one Somali student who was studying in one of the universities in Yemen.
Yeah.
And his house was bombed. His father and his mother, they were killed. And he was left behind. So he had no resources. Suddenly he was quite wealthy.
Wow.
Quite a wealthy Somali family. And the house was taken out. And then he was sent in deployment to Djibouti. He landed up in this camp, and he was saying, "Tell me what I can do." It's completely stranded with no support. We were smiling. He was smiling. Rather, this is the important thing. So in Yemen, it's not just the Yemenis that. It's anyone that's in Yemen that was affected. And I met architects. They lost everything. One particular architect, he was drawing some stuff. Yeah. And we were having a conversation with him, and he said, I have nothing, and we don't know when we will go back to Yemen, and we've literally got nothing at all to show in our lives, whereas our lives were very, very comfortable. We never expected this to happen. What does that remind you of? That reminds you of our own situation. Right now, the world is in turmoil. Let's be honest. There's not just one war zone. There are war zones everywhere.
I think we see so much of it as well. And it feels like it's not real because of how much we see it. We're so desensitized. And it's almost as if we've dehumanized these people, subhanAllah, that because we're not going through the same suffering, because we're not the ones who are directly impacted and feeling what they're feeling, we don't realize the extent of the suffering that they're going through. When these stories, like you mentioned, architects, doctors, people who are normal people living lives, normal lives, the way that me and you are living our normal lives.
In others, we could be next. That's what I'm trying to infer here. Now, if we were next, would we not wish that somebody would be there to hold our hands, to feed us, to feed our families in our hour of need? The people in Yemen have reached and have been in that hour of need for years and years and years. 19 million of them, desperate. Some of them, we've seen the images, and these are not exaggerations, of children with their bones, their rib cages showing. Look, to be frank with you, you can never imagine it because we're living in Britain and we just takeaways every night, yeah? £40, £50, £60. Why not give £40 for a food pack to feed 5 suffering individuals in Yemen tonight? Why not give £100 for the bakery that will provide food and sustenance for our brothers and sisters in Yemen on an ongoing basis? It's 4,000 odd pounds to run that Yemeni bakery every month.
Well, look,
contribute to that.
If just a simple option that our brothers and sisters for yourselves that we have, although it costs 4,800 to run a bakery a month, we're supporting thousands of people, and you can actually give bread for a full year for a family for just £180 for the full year.
For the full year.
Which is £15 a month.
Right.
For £15 a month, you can be feeding a family with bread, giving them a lifeline for just £15 a month.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that equates to, roughly 50p a day, something like that. Change for myself, yourself, perhaps brothers and sisters. Absolutely nothing for 362 families for the full year.
That's great. That's a beautiful call to action. 50 pence a day.
Literally 50 pence a day you could be saving a life. And the thing is, what's the knock-on effect when you help somebody with food? When you remove somebody from food insecurity, you're allowing them to then think about the other things and actually starting to improve their life. What can I do for work? What can I do for education? What can I do to support my family? What can I do extra, additionally, and now improve my life because I don't have to worry about food. When we worry about food, we're worrying about life or death.
Yeah.
The situation is between life and death. We don't have any other concern when we have nothing to eat. Because the only concern becomes, what am I going to eat before the end of today? What am I going to be able to feed my children? Because if I don't feed them soon, then they're going to go away. They're going to pass away.
100%.
When you provide them a lifeline, when you give them something as simple as bread, subhanallah, that allows us to sustain them just for one day. And then we give them this bread on a daily basis for just 50 pence a day.
Yeah.
This is truly what it means to give a lifeline.
And a lot of people will be confused into thinking that Dhul Hijjah, the days of Dhul Hijjah, are just about making that qurban, you know, and
The sacrifice.
doing away from your you know, that's the sacrifice. But the sacrifice goes beyond that. It can go into, you know, saving lives, feeding people, above and beyond your qurban sacrifice. It's not just about doing that one, symbolic sacrifice of an animal.
Yeah.
It's about sacrificing your wealth
Yeah.
for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you will save human beings and save yourself from the hellfire. So essentially it's this season of sacrifice.
Yeah.
So what are you sacrificing tonight, my brothers and sisters, for our brothers and sisters and our ummah in Yemen? £40 for a food pack, £15 a month for, to feed
50p.
families,
Bakery,
Yeah, it's supposed to,
bakeries.
And
Yeah,
feed,
it will
almost
feed.
like 50p a day.
Feed families.
How many families would that feed approximately? Or what are we talking about in a month?
Hundreds. You're talking hundreds of families.
Yeah.
Because for £4,800 a month is the running cost of the bakery itself, and that bakery is
bakeries.
we've got 5 bakeries
5
which are
bakeries.
churning out hundreds of loaves of bread a day, and you're therefore supporting thousands and thousands of brothers and sisters.
As you see on the clip, it should come up right now, and after the baby pack part, you'll see brothers and sisters queuing up. They're, everything's fresh, made for them. Subhanallah. It's brothers and sisters. Imagine you being in that queue. Yusuf, imagine us queuing
their
up.
children.
Yeah, with our kids. Yusuf, can you imagine? Subhanallah. I don't know what we'd do, to be honest. Do we have that level of patience?
No, I don't think so.
One of the beautiful points that you've mentioned as well about the sacrifice. Look, that this is a season of sacrifice where you see all the different types of sacrifices taking place in front of you all together, all at once. Meaning, you have the people, the Hujjaj, there on Arafah, sacrificing their wealth and sacrificing their time and sacrificing their energy, going out there for the sake of Allah and performing that pillar of Islam, performing such a monumental act of worship for the sake of Allah, a huge sacrifice. Then you have those brothers and sisters who aren't able to perform the Hajj, however, they've been able to fast for the sake of Allah. Myself, yourself, and those brothers who are fasting and those sisters who are fasting and hoping for the reward of being forgiven for the past year of sins and the year to come. SubhanAllah, that which we don't even know what's going to come, we've been forgiven for perhaps for that through Allah's mercy, and we ask that Allah accepts that from us and frees us from the hellfire and accepts our fasts. These are all different types of sacrifices that we're making. The sacrifice for the udhiyah, the qurbani that we're going to be doing inshallah. Another sacrifice yet again, enacting that worship, that act of worship that Ibrahim alayhi salam, following his sunnah, doing what he did and doing the act of worship, again making another sacrifice from our wealth, giving for the sake of Allah for the qurbani, and then making a sacrifice which is an opportunity that we have today, giving from that which we love, sacrificing from our wealth.
SubhanAllah.
And look what sacrifice looks like in Islam. SubhanAllah, this is how beautiful the concept of giving and the concept of sacrificing is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions this in the Quran. He says, "Man ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له وله أجر كريم." That who, Allah asks us, He challenges, He asks the believers, who from amongst the believers will loan Allah a goodly loan, will spend in His way, so that Allah can take that and multiply it and grant you a noble reward.
Absolutely.
When we sacrifice from that which we love, from that which Allah has given to us, we're not losing out on anything. We're investing in Allah. Meaning we're investing and we're giving back and we're saying to Allah, Ya Allah, you take this.
And you're drawing
your promise
closer
is true.
to Allah as well.
It's an act of worship. And
It is.
what do you get from these acts of worship? Exactly.
Yeah, you get closer to Allah and you feel sakina.
SubhanAllah.
You feel blessed. You feel the sweetness of faith. When you're supporting people to become Muslims and you're feeding them and, you know, supporting and protecting them, the poorest people
It makes the
in
heart
our
feel alive.
society. It makes you feel like you're doing something.
SubhanAllah.
And that is why I'm sure that brothers and sisters, that is why they are addicted to giving. You know, even now, my wife said to me, she didn't do it in a bad way. She just said, because she's got a budget in her mind for the household. She said, I know what you're like. You're going to go on the appeal and you're going to start feeling sorry for the guys. You know, we've given our budget. Yeah. So we've run out of our budget. Yeah. He's saying, so please don't give loads and loads. I know what you're like. Because I come back and I say, oh, it's £1,000. Do you mind? Can you give it? Have we got it? And, you know, because we're addicted to it. You know why? It's not because we're showing off. It's because we're genuinely addicted to it. And we know that sadaqah will always come back to us.
Allah's promise is
always.
true. Allah's promise is true.
But we're just not patient enough to wait for it. That's the thing.
4,835.
Alhamdulillah.
They're saying, mashallah, people are giving. I mean, there's a lot of
must have been Shabir's
Shabir sending out the link, is
he's sending
no.
It's
just no one's putting their names. They're just putting anonymous clients.
May Allah accept it from those brothers and sisters who donated and who are giving and who are sharing the link, because ultimately this is what it's about. So please, brothers and sisters, I encourage you again, call the hotline, call the donation line 0300 111 3111 and speak to us.
Yes,
we've got our brothers and sisters waiting on the other side of the line on the phone. We've got the website up there on the screen as well, www.yemenneedsyou.com. Yemen genuinely needs you today. The brothers and sisters of Yemen need you today. They need our support. They need us, their brothers and sisters in faith, to help them and support them in their time of need. Because these bakeries that we're running, these food programs that we're doing, they're to support a population that, subhanAllah, over 50% of are food insecure. We mentioned before one of the stats, subhanAllah, that 1 in every 2 children under the age of 5 are malnourished. Think about that. Imagine your child that you might be holding in your arms, your child that you see growing up in front of you every single day, that was the child that didn't have food, that was the child that didn't have anything to sustain them, and subhanAllah, and you saw them becoming skinnier and thinner every single day, to the point where they were so weak and so frail that they became skin and bones. Could you imagine that sight in your own household?
No.
We couldn't imagine.
We couldn't fathom this.
We could not.
And yet we see our brothers and sisters every single day on the TV screens, on the advertisements, wherever it might be, and we see them and we see the suffering. But what do we do?
So we're it's 6:05 now. We've got 3 hours.
Yep.
So we should set some sort of a target for ourselves.
Yes,
intermediate
definitely.
target
100%.
and long term. So
Yeah.
what's the sort of target do you think that we should set for ourselves tonight to raise for how many families can we get fed? 40, let's say, like 100 families is 4,000. Yeah. So should we set this target now? We need to add another £4,000 to feed 100 families for a whole month.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think
100
definitely.
families, yeah.
Definitely.
And then the bakery, we would like to raise £500 a month for the bakery.
Yeah.
Towards the bakery in Yemen. Okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right. So guys,
What do they need to do to be able to reach that target?
The
page target is about, we've put up to 20,000 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
we
gets
can break
us
it
close
down.
to that.
If
We
it's
get
very
these
close,
things,
actually, yeah. So it works out to what Yusuf said. And inshallah, we've still got, like I say, a few hours.
Well, all it takes is, look, subhanAllah, imagine, we saw Shabir, he mentioned, he shared the link earlier on.
Yeah.
And look, a couple of £100 of donations have already come in.
Exactly.
All it takes is a share. If you can
it's
just...
probably his family, because
I don't know about that.
He probably stresses them out every appeal.
They get fed up. People block you and you end up blocking. No, brother, don't.
I've got so many people that have blocked me recently. I mean, I've had enough now. Bro. So yeah, it's really important that brothers and sisters, that there's always a light-hearted side of us getting together as an ummah, but the Ummah is in crisis in Yemen as we speak. The people that we know are supportive of our brothers and sisters in the Middle East, let's say. We know that those Yemeni brothers and sisters deserve our support, our help,
100%.
our dua, and our donations, £40 a month for a food pack for a family of 5 individuals in Yemen right now. Click the link over there. You can see there's probably a link on your Facebook and wherever you're watching. If you're watching on my Facebook account, brothers and sisters, please, you see my stuff day in and day out. You probably get bored of seeing the videos that I'm wearing blue tops and hats and God knows what.
That's why you left it today. That's why you left it today.
But today, you guys need to make the difference. So anyone who's watching from my Facebook or Instagram accounts, I want you to make a special effort to give £10 each. All of you, give £10 each. And let's get to our target of 100 food packs. That's £4,000. Well, could
we
be
don't
some
forget
people.
the nutrition packs, Yusuf. We did.
Oh,
so maybe we'll round it off with the rest what's left off with that.
Yeah, we can do the
because
nutrition
obviously,
packs.
the once again,
£100, yeah.
I guess.
£100 is a nutrition pack.
So that should round
What
us
does
off
that
up to 40.
contain? So the brothers and sisters.
Right there, right now, as you can see on the screen.
There
Can
it
you see?
is, there it
baby,
is.
Baby, for the babies.
Babies, hygiene,
Yep.
soaps, all of that stuff,
Yeah.
shampoo, towels. That's what it all usually contains in other countries. In Syria when I was there, certainly in Palestine, in Pakistan, we're doing the same sort of packs.
Yeah, I think
And
one of the main thing with this, what we're doing today, especially because of some of the stats that we've already gone through and mentioned, like subhanAllah, a population of 40 million, where 19.5 million of those people are food insecure.
Subhanallah.
All of these options that we have today, the nutrition pack for the infants, meaning specific packs that are created for child, for example, what's it called, the child baby food and that formula milk and those types of things. So there's the food packs which will sustain families for a month at least. And then there's the bakery cost as well, which is helping sustain our bakeries, which provide hundreds of families with just a lifeline, a basic necessity of bread. All of these are related to food today because we know that the people of Yemen are suffering the most from food insecurity.
Yep.
They don't know where the next meal's coming from. Like we mentioned before, the children, they're starving. They're turning into just skin and bone, subhanAllah. And we've seen, subhanAllah, the amount of suffering that they've gone through over the past decade, even longer than that. That one of the biggest problems that have been caused now is this, that they're just not able to find sources of food, clean water. And this is what we're here to help our brothers and sisters with today, to provide them with the lifeline.
We've got a piece of information that came from Arafah a bit earlier on.
Really?
So I had a call from the Muslim cowboy.
Oh, wow.
And he said to me, look, Yusuf, I need to feed some people. I need to do some fidya and I need to feed some people. And he said, I just want to check, is it going to get there? I said, bro, of course it is, inshallah. As long as we're alive, as long as we've got the charity, it's going to happen. So he just made a donation of £51.81. And he was asking, can I make a dua for all of you brothers and sisters? And we're going to ask him to make a dua for our brothers and sisters in Yemen tonight, in Gaza, in Palestine tonight, in Pakistan, in Uganda, in Kenya, all around the Muslim world.
He's performing Hajj.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
He's doing Hajj. Yeah.
MashaAllah.
He came with us on a deployment for IERA,
MashaAllah, okay.
for the other stuff we do. And then he's always giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ameen.
Allah accept you from you, my brother, the Muslim cowboy. You know, I don't even know his other name, really. So, anyway.
Allahumma barik, mashallah.
But he's just sent me a message and he's shown the burhan, the proof.
Yeah, Allahumma barik.
And
Allah
the
bless him.
burhan will
Mashallah.
exist between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Most important thing is for you to establish the proof between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the connectivity between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will forgive you on the day of Qiyam, the day of reckoning,
Yep.
the day when we will not be able to add or subtract from our deeds, the day when the sun will be close by, and a day when
Subhanallah.
the Prophet Muhammad
Sallallahu Alaihi
ﷺ
Wasallam.
said there are 7 categories of people that can get the shade on the day of judgment where there's no shade but the shade of Allah. And one of those people was actually a person that gives with their right hand in such a way that the left hand doesn't know. They're given, in other words, in a secret manner, you know? So, brothers and sisters, give now because you're going to give secretly because we're making an appeal to you. You don't have to call us. You don't even need to call the donation hotline. You can literally go on One Ummah, okay? And I think we need to just do something with the screen because in 56 seconds, TV is going to turn off.
I think we're going to be heading for a quick break anyways because
Inshallah.
we're going to show people, our brothers and sisters, the videos of what we're doing on the ground, inshallah. So we're going to show you the bakery. We're going to show you the food distributions, inshallah. And we're going to come to a case study very shortly as well of a family who's benefited from the aid that you brothers and sisters have given towards, the project that you've given towards and how you've helped our brothers and sisters in Yemen. So inshallah, we're going to go to that very shortly. The videos are going to come up soon and we're going to go for a break. But in the meantime, please, brothers
Share
and
the
sisters,
link, brothers and sisters. Share the link, please, please.
Share.
You know, like Yusuf said, no one knows. You don't have to tell anyone that you gave. You just say, "Oh, look,
Get
there's
the
a
shade
charity." Yeah,
when there's
yeah.
no shade.
Just
But with Allah,
share,
man,
share the link and just
you know.
not. It doesn't take long, brothers and sisters. Literally one tap.
And there is a link there on
Yep.
below each broadcast, right?
Yes.
Wherever it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a link.
Yep.
Click the
Okay.
link, make a donation, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and be in a good position when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment.
inshallah. I think we must be ready to go to the videos now, inshallah. So we'll go over to that, inshallah. We'll see you brothers and sisters very shortly. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
A baby's cry is supposed to mean something, that they're hungry, tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with one ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A baby's cry is supposed to mean something, that they're hungry, tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A baby tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. Tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed one ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with one ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to one ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed one ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A baby tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with one ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger. Just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. Babies tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with one ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger. Just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A baby tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger. Just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. Tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery appeal today. Every morning, Amina wakes up to the sound of her children crying, not from nightmares, but from hunger, just silence and an empty pot. In Yemen, millions live this reality day after day. No food, no support, no escape. But in the middle of this desperation, something changed. Your donation allowed One Ummah to step in, delivering over 10,000 food packs to the most vulnerable. That means over 50,000 people no longer had to go to sleep hungry. It wasn't just a food pack, it was a lifeline, a moment of dignity, a reason to keep going. Provide a food pack to the forgotten families of Yemen today for just £40. A bit tired, in need of comfort. But in Yemen, it means something else. It means there's nothing left to give. No milk, no formula, no strength in a mother's arms. They're too weak to feed, too hungry to sleep. But that's where we come in. With your help, we're placing baby formula and essential nutrition into the hands of mothers who've lost everything except hope. Because no child should suffer before they've even had a chance to live. Give a baby in Yemen the opportunity to have a life with One Ummah for just £10. In Yemen, every 10 minutes, a child dies from preventable causes. Over 17 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger isn't just knocking on the door, it's already inside the home. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe. Mothers boil leaves to feed their children. Fathers skip meals for days just so their families can survive one more night. But in the middle of the silence, hope rises. Your donations to One Ummah has allowed us to deliver over 3.5 million pieces of bread to the forgotten and starving in Yemen. One piece at a time, one family at a time, one life at a time. Because no one should suffer in silence. You can continue that by supporting One Ummah's Yemen Bakery